The editorially pristine halls of Australia's most prestigious women's magazine descending into sheer bedlam this morning as a recently received invoice confirming suspicions that Meghan Markle's team paid an exorbitant cover bribe totaling nearly $500,000. In a scandal already being described as the Duchess deceit by gleeful arch-rivals, Australian Women's Weekly editor-in-chief Nicole Byers was confronted by the bombshell revelations contained within a seemingly innocuous invoice forwarded from the magazine's accounting department. Upon cursory examination, the itemized charges unmistakably confirmed the Duchess of Sussex's representatives wired an astonishing $475,000 sum to effectively purchase her featured solo portrait on the annual Most Sealbrat edition's cover last October amid the royals' high-profile Australian tour promoting humanitarian causes. "I was utterly gobsmacked staring at those billing line items in black and white," an ashen-faced Byers told reporters during a hasty press conference immediately called to address the brewing scandal. "We always prided the Weekly as presenting our readers an honest, impartial lens into the lives of inspirational public figures and celebrities based entirely upon their substantive merits. To discover it was merely another stifling situation of elite entitlement and backroom influence peddling just reeks distinctly like that soulless American industry culture she hoped to transcend." According to the authenticated accountings, Markle and her U.S. crisis management advisors contracted infamous, celeb PR, fixer Michael Bublitz to negotiate a meticulously coordinated cover photo shoot and multi-page Duchess profile in exchange for the listed lump sum payment sent directly to the Weekly's parent corporation in New York. Subsequent email chains between Bublitz and the publication's editorial staff unambiguously discuss posturing the solo Meghan cover as a major prestige, get, and marketing draw for the annual issue requiring no other A-listers for balance. Pay to play is the modus operandi for this slithery scumbag anytime he's within check-writing distance of the next muckraking assignment, Byers growled when describing her complete disgust over being misled by Bublitz's intricately concealed subterfuge. Having helped rehabilitate reputations for some of Hollywood's most odious con artists and contractually scandalized starlets, Michael stopped seeing media integrity as anything more than an expense report line item ages ago. The searing accusation that Australia's most popular and widely circulated women's periodical had resorted to outright checkbook journalism to procure Meghan Markle's October 2022 multi-cover edition instantly sparked a maelstrom of rage amongst the island continent's notoriously protective media watchdogs. The seemingly innocuous magazine that prominently featured the Duke and Duchess tawdry relationship sagas previously being exposed as having actively courted the Sussexes appears to have struck a uniquely perfidious chord down under. This transactional perversion directly incentivizes the most distasteful varieties of self-aggrandizement and propaganda, thundered Margot Dunn of the Australian Media Matters Institute, a leading regulatory group promoting transparency and accountability in editorial practices. Publications now no longer fear being openly exposed, blacklisting honest journalists if one can simply launder access for disgraced icons and political principals seeking reputation rehabs for the right price. For the Duchess's overpriced PR machine to co-opt outlets deploying this sordid muckraking further erodes an essential democratic institution's credibility with Aussie audiences. Everyday people aspire seeing truth-teller figures reflected, not flagrant deceptions by entitled opportunists treating principled outlets like tabloid escorts they can simply rent. Others were less diplomatic, criticizing the Markle and her husband Prince Harry for resorting to surreptitious influence bribing tactics down under following the residual damages and distrust originating from their globally televised royal institution criticisms in recent years. These two grifting, whingebag Aravistas seriously thought they could import those same phonied-up publicity schemers and shakedown rackets soiling their reputations from Hollywood straight into Australia's living rooms without any accountability, balked Richard Gill, a high-profile media ethicist and lecturer at the University of Sydney. "We're not so blinded by starfuckery and cheap aristocrat idolatry to spot baldly transactional purchase personas being laundered as legitimate human interest profiles." Gill did not mince words condemning the Duchess, now seen by many as having deliberately deceived Australians by pantomiming humanitarian and social justice credibility in order to rehabilitate her irrevocably sullied name and massage media narratives to their financial benefit. Even taking her bloviating philanthropic word salads at face value for a moment, conspiring to intentionally debase truthful reporting institutions by operating within an unethical payola sphere renders Meghan's alleged virtuous motivations morally bankrupt from conception. Full stop. Strip away the rote doe-eyed posing and cloying UN ambassador bids for victimization cloaks, and we're left with just another contrived Hollywood commodity being deficit-financed into our national subconscious. While royal experts and palace insiders have long accused the Duchess and her facilitating West Coast PR teams of exploiting unscrupulous revenue sources to underwrite their preferred public brands and carefully curated personas, many remain flabbergasted they would attempt importing such mercantile submission tactics across the discerning international journalism sphere. Her transparently superficial, single mom overcomer identity flickered the first real signs of cracking shams when that Oprah truth bomb capsized upon landing on adroit British Commonwealth receptions, contended Simon Brodkin, a London publicist and longtime federal reform advocate. Now this excruciatingly choreographed women's weekly dog and pony show has precipitated the entire facade crumbling to dust before an exponentially more battle-hardened audience down under. Brodkin referenced the skepticism and indifference defining public attitudes throughout Australia, New Zealand, and neighbouring island communities toward the Duke and Duchess's bombastic publicity stuntsmanship. Despite a decade of relentless social media marketing attempting to cast the couple as transcendent millennial figureheads and symbols of marginalized empowerment, domestic Aussie audiences have largely mocked their contrived regal potterings as tacky, unserious cultural appropriations from two privileged American entertainment dilettantes desperate to remain relevant. When some cirrate foreign cable starlet and defrocked royal spare start treating your national media with the blithely corrupt impunity of California commercial jingles markets, of course outrage will follow swiftly, Brodkin explained. It's not misogyny or racial microaggressions these two warmed-over Joan Collins impersonators want to screech on podcasts either. Australians can simply smell substanceless fraud artists from 1,000 paces away. In the short term, the spiraling public backlash has already seen women's weekly publisher Pacific Magazine's issue a full corporate retraction while cancelling all remaining exclusive arrangements with Meghan Markle's affiliates and pledging internal reforms. Some fringe outlets have already begun publishing inflammatory advertiser boycott demands targeting further ramifications for the company. A statement released by the Duchess's official spokesperson strongly rejected any misleading innuendo, asserting her office actively purchased favorable media coverage or entered into illicit quid pro quo contracts. It noted, as we repeatedly reiterate, the Duchess has solemnly vowed never to compensate outlets in exchange for media access or positive publicity, despite intense speculation and often slanderous accusations from detractors. According to the statement, any remuneration directly collected by the magazine from Meghan's internal communications team or negotiated through an outside agency was strictly related to paying standard market licensing fees for her name, image and promotional likeness, which she claims full intellectual property ownership over. The Duchess merely appropriately manages her personal rights, branding and monetization strategy with any business associates as stipulated by industry precedents, including through media entities wishing to leverage her public stature for commercial purposes. The carefully worded statements pointedly avoided taking direct aim at the invoice itself or the fact that all fees paid were routed through unofficial channels instead of going directly to Markle or her formal business enterprises. Industry analysts speculate this particular facet, along with the proposed headline puffery language and editorial checkoffs being prearranged by the facilitating publicity agency, could leave legal vulnerabilities exposing the incident as an unethical paid promotion masquerading as standard journalism. Meghan's team looked to proactively strike back at those accusations in the same press release. In this highly monetized media environment, any outlets maligning our pursuits as ethically conflicted are downright hypocritical when considering their own endless merchandising licenses, commercial endorsements, and subsidiary revenue streams actively sold alongside their editorial products. It is critical all public communicators commit to transparency in pursuit of public trust, regardless of affiliation. While ensuing legal proceedings could take years resolving evidentiary veracity behind defensive posturing and accusations of misconduct on both sides, the court of public opinion has already devastatingly transformed the magazine's star-making Duchess profile into a pariah recruitment ad camouflaged as puff propaganda. Looks like the only celebrate achievement materializing for this Markle number is confirming every fluffernutters fantasy about the royals once again wantonly disrespecting Aussies on our own terra soil, snickered local Melbourne pub owner Larry Ferris, summing up widespread sentiments on the controversy. When does this pseudo-Samaritan Aravista quit gaslighting the entire nation and just scram already?